ball. The lazarette is a small iron box down in the hold of the ship, just big enough for me, a couple of mice, and a few hundred feet of anchor chain. A couple of deckhands take turns guarding me, which consists of sleeping on a little cot just outside the bulkhead door. I get 3 square glasses of water a day and all the bread that me and the mice can eat. I am not happy.
On your feet, Mr. Fortune.
Well, well. And to what do I owe this pleasure?
To the fact that I want to talk to you.
Is that gun just a conversation piece, or do you always carry
The
it?
captain authorized your guard to carry sidearms. I'm your guard for the next watch.
Just the two of us?
Just the two of us.
How cozy.
Get back against the wall and keep those hands above your head.
Anything you say, Larry.
I'm interested in what you say, Mr. Fortune.
Concerning what?
Concerning what happened to those jewels.
How should I know?
I say you've got them.
You've been smoking Dramamine.
I'll give you one more chance to start talking.
And if I don't?
I empty this gun at you.
Wait a minute, Buster. That's homicide, remember?
I can always say you tried to jump me.
I don't get this. Is there a reward, or are you interested in those jewels for personal reasons?
Just start talking.
Okay, I'll talk.
And make it good.
I'll make it as good as I can. Is this good enough? I had my hands up in the air, and I brought the arm with the cast down on the top of his skull as hard as I could. He went out like a wet candle, and I cracked the plaster cast right down the middle. I was still trying to figure out my next move when I discovered we were not alone.
Put up your hand.
Sure, it's getting to be a permanent position.
Hand me that gun.
Help yourself.
Robbery, murder, assaulting a ship's officer. You know, Fortune, we can make trouble for you.
I suspected as much.
You could save yourself some heartache by confessing where you hid the jewels.
Why don't you ask the guy who heisted them?
I suppose you can identify him.
Your chief steward, sir.
That's an interesting bit of information. Can you prove it?
No.
All right, Mr. Fortune. Back in the lazarette.
Will you listen to what I have to say, at least?
Save it for the homicide boys. They'll be coming aboard when we reach quarantine in the morning. So I am back in the Bastille with my rodent companions. I spend the rest of the night trying to imagine what it's going to feel like when they sit me down in the Sing Sing Chippendale with wiring by Con Edison. Trouble? You'll excuse the cliche, but it shouldn't happen to 2 dogs, because 1 dog couldn't handle it all. Along about daybreak, I'm nervously peeling pieces of plaster off my arm when I get the shock of my life. But before I can recover, somebody arrives. All right, Fortune. On your feet.
I've been on them all night.
Let's go. The police cutter should be here in 15 minutes.
Now, look, Captain, before the gendarmes start working me over, I think I can crack this case.
Uh-huh.
I'm serious. I can trap the Doc's murder in just 10 minutes. Will you listen to me?
No.
Well, can I at least get some medical attention?
What for?
This cast is falling off. And I'd hate to appear in the police lineup with a crummy cast. Might look like you twisted my arm.
I'm not an unduly cruel man, Fortune. We'll let the nurse take a look at it.
Atta boy, Captain. I knew that underneath that rough exterior that beats a heart of solid stone. 10 minutes later, I am in the sick bay, feeling like an oyster which has just escaped from 6 months in an undersized shell and is about to be eaten alive.
Rocky, I was so worried about you.
Hi, baby.
When the captain told me you'd broken the cast on Larry's head,
How is he?
He's sleeping it off in the captain's cabin. Let's get that new cast on your arm.
How about a new arm while you're at it?
Let's get the old one off.
The arm or the cast? Hey, take it easy.
This won't hurt. Here, I'll just tap it a few times with this mallet. And there.
What's the matter, honey?
Matter? Oh, nothing.
Don't kid me, baby. You look like you just shot 6 holes in the high 80s.
There's nothing wrong.
Suppose I tell you what's wrong.
All right.
The jewels are missing.
What jewels?
The Lady Harkness loot. The jewels you mixed into the plaster for this cast in my arm.
You're crazy.
I'm crazy like King Solomon. You and Larry, boy, heisted those jewels. Larry did the muscle work and conked me when I came into the cabin at the wrong moment, Then he got scared and passed the jewels to you.
But-
You knew that they'd searched the ship, so you put them into that plastic cast on my arm, figuring you'd get them back after the ship made port and we were all ashore. That's why you were so nice and sweet to me. I was worth plenty to you.
You've got it all figured out, haven't you?
All figured out. I even figured out why you knocked off the good doctor.
Tell me. I'd be interested to know.
You didn't plan on us taking any x-rays of my arm in the cast. And you knew the x-rays would show those jewels and they would fix your cute little wagon, but good. So you knocked him off and ruined the plates. I noticed the ruined plates in the dark room.
Finished?
I ran out of gas.
You can save your breath and just put up your hands.
You too? I'm going to need a special game warden if this keeps up.
Get over there against the wall.
My favorite position.
All right. Where are they?
Where a witch?
The jewels you took out of the plastic cast.
That's an interesting question.
I'll give you just 5 seconds to provide an interesting answer.
I don't hear you, baby.
1, I can always say you tried to escape.
Such a pretty girl, too.
2, I'm ready to pull this trigger, Rocky.
Young and tender.
3, I mean it.
Too young to have to die.
4.
In the electric chair.
All right. 5.
Hold it!
Grab her!
All right. Quiet down, miss. You okay, Fortune?
Okay, Skipper. Except for a slight heart attack. You heard what she said?
I was listening through the porthole.
So, what kept you?
Well, I just wanted to give her enough rope to hang herself.
You nearly gave her enough to include me.
Oh, sorry. You know, I must apologize, Fortune.
Hmm.
Until you showed me how the jewels had been hidden in your cast, I really didn't believe a word you said.
Forget it. I got a dishonest face.
Well, naturally, if there's anything I can do to make up for it now.
Just one thing, Skipper. About my job. You remember how you threatened to fire me?
Yes.
Well, fire when ready, Gridley, because if you don't, I quit.
Tonight, NBC Radio has presented transcribed Frank Sinatra as that footloose and fancy-free young man known as Rocky Fortune. Others in the cast included Tony Barrett, Lynn Allen, Marvin Miller, Norma Varden, and Shep Menken. Tonight's script was written by George Lefferts and Andrew C. Love directed. Eddie King speaking. Now, to tell you about next week's adventure, here's Frank Sinatra as Rocky Fortune.
Sometimes I don't know what this younger generation is coming to. Did I ever tell you about the 10-year-old cowboy who held up the stagecoach with a water pistol and got away with 50 grand? Of course, I thought the kid was only kidding. But as the man in the hot seat said, brother, was I in for a shock. I'll tell you about it next week. See you around.
Next week, then, tune in again when Frank Sinatra returns as Rocky Fortune. One of the finest things anyone can say about you is that you're a good neighbor. That spirit has been a tradition in American life all through the years. Today, in hundreds of cities, this spirit of goodwill is expressed in a different way. It's expressed in our support of the local community chest or United Fund. This support is the modern way of being a good neighbor. Through your community campaign, you can make just one yearly contribution that takes care of many needs. You know that your money is collected and administered honestly and efficiently. So make sure that your campaign pledge is large enough to cover these needed services for an entire year. This is your chance to be a good neighbor. So give to your community chest or your local United Fund. Enjoy Fibber McGee and Molly tonight on the NBC Radio Network.